Hi, welcome to the Mathquarium. I'm the Inky Mathematician. Today, we're going to talk about converting between degrees and radians. Degrees and radians are two different forms of angle measurements that are commonly used in mathematics. If you look here, you can see an equation that says 2 pi is equal to 360 degrees. That's because 2 pi is equal to 1 full rotation of the circle, and 360 degrees is also equal to 1 full rotation of the circle. But it's easier to work with smaller numbers, so oftentimes we use this other equation, pi equals 180 degrees. So what we want to do is multiply either our radian or degree that we're trying to convert by a factor that's equal to 1. We're either going to be multiplying by the fraction pi over 180 degrees, which is equal to 1 because pi is equal to 180 degrees, or we're going to be multiplying by the fraction 180 degrees over pi, which is also equal to 1 because 180 degrees is equal to pi. Which one you do depends on the scenario. And we make that decision based on where we want our degree symbol to be. Do we want it included in our final answer, or do we want to remove it from our final answer? So when you're going from degrees to radians, you're going to have some number, say 25 degrees, that we're going to be trying to convert to radians. And for that, we want our final answer to not have the degrees. So we need our degree symbol to cancel out, and so that would go on the bottom. However, when we're converting from radians to degrees, let's say pi over 2 radians, we now do not have degrees in our original measurement, and we want to make sure that they're in our final answer. So the degrees goes on the top, and we put the pi on the bottom. Okay, let's start with a few examples to show you how this works. Our first example involves taking 80 degrees and converting it to radians. So we're going to start with writing down our angle measurement. In this case, it's 80 degrees. I would like to multiply that by a fraction that allows the degree symbol to disappear, to cancel out. So in order to do that, I need to put my degree on the bottom. So I'm going to put 180 degrees on the bottom of my fraction, and on the top, the equivalent measure of pi. Once I've set that up, I can cancel out my degrees and simplify. I notice that 80 and 180 degrees are both divisible by 20. 80 divided by 20 is 4, and 180 divided by 20 is 9. And then we multiply the remaining term, which is pi, with our 4 over 9. So our 80 degrees becomes 4 pi over 9 radians. For our next example, we're going to be converting 5 pi over 18 radians to degrees. And we know that this is radians not because it has a pi, but because it doesn't have the degree symbol. Our first step is to write down 5 pi over 18. And then I have to think, my final answer, should it have the degree symbol or not? The answer in this case is yes, it should have the degree symbol in our final answer, so we want our degrees to be on top. The 180 degrees will be our numerator, and our denominator will be pi. Now we just cancel and simplify. The pi's on top and bottom will cancel, and I notice that 18 goes into 180 10 times. So I want to multiply 5 times 10 times the degree symbol, which gives me 5 times 10 is 50. Then add the degree symbol, and so we get 50 degrees. So 5 pi over 18 radians is the same as 50 degrees. Now there's one situation where a lot of students start to get frustrated, and that's when they have a radian measure that doesn't have pi in it. Sometimes people get confused and they don't know if it's degrees or radians. And the trick is, if there's a degree symbol, it's in degrees. And if there's no degree symbol, then it's probably in radians. So a lot of professors and teachers will make this a little more clear by calling it 3 radians. Or they might write 3 rad. But that's actually not a necessary thing to write down mathematically. So sometimes you'll just get something like 3 with no degree symbol and no pi, and that's when it gets confusing to students. So I want you to know that if there's no degree symbol, then that's radians. So I want to convert 3 to degrees. I want to convert my 3 radians to degrees. Since it's not a degree measure and I'm trying to convert to degrees, I want to put my degree measure on the top. So I write 180 degrees on the top. And the equivalent measure of pi radians goes on the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and multiply this. 3 times 180 is 540. Divided by pi. And then I'm going to just put that in parentheses and put the degrees outside so that we know it's this whole measurement, 540 over pi, that the degree symbol is referring to. Now notice that I didn't put this in my calculator because then it's only an approximation. This is an exact answer. 540 over pi is an exact answer. 540 over pi degrees is your final answer, unless you have a teacher or professor that's requesting you to round to some certain number of decimal places. And that's the end of today's lesson. If you found this video useful, please hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. See you next time at the Mathquarium.